everyone. Let's talk about pens. Somehow, on this sketchbook and art relearning journey, I got distracted by pens. I think it's easy to do for a lot of folks. I love art supplies, but I don't necessarily use them up like I should, and that's a completely different video though. When I discovered that FZD School of Design asks their students to get these Pilot High-Tech C.40 pens, I really wanted to try them out and find out why. None were available nearby, so I had to order them online. I did find the Pilot G2 .38 pens. Oh, I'm sorry, these are .40 and these are .38. And I wanted to do a bit of a comparison. A disclaimer though, I know what we all think, and I fall victim to this, but no matter what pen you buy, it won't fix a lack of practice or skill and knowledge. The pen just doesn't make the artist. It doesn't make you suddenly know anatomy or composition or any of those basics. The first thing I noticed about the two is that they're both very fine point pens. Of course, I knew that going in, but I mean, these are really fine points. The High-Tech C, my first impression of the High-Tech C is that physically it's kind of short. Maybe it's just a US thing that makes us sensitive to things that are small. I don't know. But it just looks and feels kind of short. The cap does fix this though, and it snaps on and off firmly with a very satisfying snap on both ends. The cap clip is pretty square, and as someone with sensory sensitivities, I don't like the feeling of the clip of the cap rubbing against the web of my hand if it gets in the wrong position. I don't know. I know that's a weird complaint, but it's mine. I am using multimedia paper for my sketchbook, which may not be ideal for these pens. I find it tends to feel like it digs in a bit because the point is so fine and the paper is a little bit coarse. Regular notebook paper feels like it flows a little better, and I'm sure smoother Bristol or something would be great, but smudging would then start to become a problem. I kind of feel like it has a lot of resistance, and I think I'm pressing harder than I should. It takes very little pressure for the ball to roll and the ink to flow out of the High-Tech C. So if you have a light hand as an artist, maybe this would help you find bolder lines, or maybe it would encourage a bad habit of making your hand even lighter. I don't know. Of course, that's going to be an individual thing. The G2 .38 is a spring-loaded pen, very ergonomic feel, very easy to fidget with, or whatever. The edges are rounded, it's longer with a rubber grip. I'm undecided about the grip. I had to remove the fat grip from my Wacom stylus because I don't like big bulky pens, and I have no idea why companies think artists want that. I don't know. The G2 flow is pretty good. The ink can tend to get a little heavier, and it feels like it drags a little more than the High-Tech C. When the ink is flowing, it does tend to pool sometimes at the end of a line. However, I can't tell if it's because if it feels like it drags more because of the point is slightly finer or the rollerball quality is lower. So it could be either of those things, but I feel like it has a little more resistance than the High-Tech C. It is a fine pen though, and it does just fine on its own. After using these both for a little while and trying out drawing with both lines and actual drawing, I find myself often wanting a bulkier line in a lot of situations, especially for sketchbook ideas. I'm not a technical drawer. Sometimes I just want to fill an area and get more ink in there. With the fine lines of both the High-Tech and the G2, I found myself reaching for either my Sharpie 0.7 or the standard G2 that's I think it's like a 0.5 or something, get those deep shadows, because a drawing would just end up kind of with this uniform value. Heavier outlines were just taking more time, and I felt like they were kind of chaotic because it took multiple passes to get the bulkier outline sometimes. Let's talk about the old-fashioned rollerball, though. When it comes to drawing in my sketchbook, I kind of forgot that one of my all-time favorite things is the old simple rollerball point pens with traditional ink. Yes, if they sit for a while, it can take a little work to get them flowing again, but a little dip and wipe and rubbing alcohol or a quick wipe with a paper towel will usually fix it. The ball rolls smoothly though. They're just usually pretty comfortable to hold, and you can really vary the line weight with both size and thickness just by using pressure. Back in the day, I used to get the white and black Bic ballpoint pens. You can't get them anymore, which is kind of a shame because you could get them for like 10 cents a piece, and they were really great art pens. For all the fancy pens in the world, I kind of forgot how great these really are for what I like to do. And here's the real kicker. Gel pen ink is not water friendly at all. So if you want to wash watercolors or markers over your drawing, it's not going to work out. The old standard Bic roller ball doesn't mind a watercolor wash one bit. It's whatever's going on with the type of ink that it is just really good ink, surprisingly enough. You can even take the best of both of these worlds and draw with the old Bic watercolor wash and then gel ink lines on top of it all if you wanted. So are these pens worth it? It depends. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. I'm not finding them essential for the FZD exercises, but they are kind of fun in some situations. You have to like fine lines, and sometimes that's what you want, but I like variable thicknesses and variable line weights. And you also, it helps, I think it would help if you had a light touch art style. The G2 is a perfectly acceptable alternative if you can't find the high-tech C, but it's not quite as refined as the high-tech C. But really the difference, I feel, is pretty negligible and barely noticeable. I mean, it's really a non-issue. I think a lot of this sketchbook and my efforts to relearn art will go back to using the good old cheap ballpoint pens and probably some pencils. Let me know what you think of these pens, and if there are any other suggestions, I hope you join me again on our journey to become better artists and better people.